Love the Eagles as much as we do? Then hit that subscribe button and stick with us at Eagles Nest News for all the drama, updates, and hype all season long. The buzz around the league has been getting louder, and today it feels like one of those moments where a rumor starts to sound just believable enough to make everyone stop scrolling and start listening. The name Myles Garrett has been floating through timelines, group chats, and whispered conversations, and the twist that keeps people hooked is simple and explosive at the same time. Garrett is Eagles. Now, before anyone panics or celebrates too hard, remember this is the kind of speculation that lives in the gray area, where sources are vague, intentions are hidden, and front offices smile while saying nothing. But when you connect the dots, the idea of a dominant defensive force landing in Philadelphia starts to feel less like fantasy and more like a calculated possibility. The Eagles have always valued defense as identity, not accessory, and adding a player with Garrett's presence would fit that philosophy like a glove. This is not just about sacks or highlights. It is about aura, about how an opposing offense feels walking onto the field knowing he is there. The rumor grows because it makes football sense, financial sense, and emotional sense for a fan base that craves another defensive icon to rally behind. What really fuels this speculation is the silence from both sides, because in this league, silence often screams louder than denial. When a superstar defender like Myles Garrett is suddenly linked to a franchise with championship ambitions, people start rewatching clips, analyzing cap space, and imagining how schemes could change overnight. The Eagles' defense has always thrived when it can rotate pressure, confuse quarterbacks, and attack relentlessly, and Garrett's skill set seems almost tailor-made for that environment. Picture him lining up wide, then crashing inside, drawing double teams, and freeing teammates to feast. That vision alone is enough to keep this rumor alive. And for Garrett, the appeal of a roster already stacked with talent, a city that lives and breathes football, and an organization known for aggressive moves could be hard to ignore. This is where speculation turns emotional, because fans start to feel like destiny is at play. They remember past moves that seemed impossible until they suddenly happened. The league has taught us that when a rumor refuses to die, it usually means something real is smoldering beneath the surface. Another layer to this story comes from the idea of legacy, something that elite players start thinking about sooner than fans realize. Myles Garrett has already established himself as one of the most feared defenders in football, but the conversation around greatness often circles back to team success and iconic moments on the biggest stages. The Eagles offer a platform where defensive stars are not just appreciated, they're celebrated like legends. From the way the crowd reacts to a big hit to how a dominant pass rush can swing the momentum of an entire season, Philadelphia is a city that amplifies defensive excellence. That matters. If this rumor has legs, it might be because Garrett sees an opportunity to redefine his narrative, to step into a new chapter where his impact is felt beyond individual accolades. The Eagles, on the other hand, will be signaling that they are all in, that defense is once again the heartbeat of their ambition. This mutual benefit is what makes the speculation feel grounded, not reckless. It feels like two powerful forces circling each other, aware of the potential explosion if they finally collide. Of course, no rumor like this survives without skepticism, and that skepticism is part of what keeps it honest. Critics will say the logistics are too complicated, that the cost would be enormous, that moving a cornerstone defender is not something teams do lightly. All of that is true, and yet history reminds us that bold franchises find ways to bend reality when the prize is worth it. The Eagles have never been shy about pushing chips to the center of the table when they believe a move can shift the balance of power. Myles Garrett is not just another talented player. He is a game plan disruptor, the kind of defender who forces offenses to rewrite scripts before the opening snap. That kind of influence is rare, and rarity changes equations. Even if this remains a rumor, the fact that it resonates so strongly says a lot about where both the player and the team are perceived to be. It says fans believe the Eagles are always hunting for the next edge, and that Garrett is seen as a missing piece rather than a luxury. What makes this speculation especially intriguing is how it fits into the broader narrative of the league. where defenses are once again being celebrated as the foundation of sustained success. Offenses grab headlines, but defenses win respect, and the Eagles know that better than most. Bringing in a defender like Garrett would not just be about immediate impact, it would be about setting a tone for seasons to come. Younger players would learn from his preparation, his intensity, and his relentless pursuit of perfection. Veterans would feed off his energy. Coaches would have the freedom to design more aggressive schemes, knowing they have a weapon capable of bailing them out when things break down. This is why the rumor feels sticky. It taps into a collective belief that one transcendent defender can change everything. Even without confirmation, fans start to feel that familiar mix of hope and anxiety, wondering if this is the moment when imagination becomes reality. As the conversation continues to swirl, it becomes clear that this rumor is doing more than just entertaining fans. It is sparking debate about identity and ambition. Are the Eagles content with being good, or are they chasing dominance? Does Myles Garrett want comfort, or does he want challenge? These questions hang in the air, unanswered but powerful. The idea of Garrett in midnight green feels like a statement, a declaration that defense still matters in a league obsessed with scoring. Until something concrete emerges, this remains speculation, but it is the kind that feels alive, breathing, evolving with every passing comment and reaction. And that is what makes it perfect for YouTube conversation. The kind where you lean in, lower your voice just a bit, and say, keep an eye on this, because sometimes the wildest rumors are the ones that end up rewriting the story we thought we already knew. Now let us dive deeper into what this could actually look like on the field, because that is where speculation truly becomes addictive. Imagine an Eagles defense that already prides itself on pressure, suddenly gaining a player who commands attention on every snap. Myles Garrett does not just rush the passer. He dictates protections, forcing offenses to slide, help his way, and leaving vulnerabilities elsewhere. In Philadelphia, that ripple effect could be devastating for opponents. Linebackers would see cleaner lanes, defensive backs would have extra beats to read routes, and the entire unit would move with more confidence. This is the kind of transformation fans dream about, and it is why the rumor refuses to fade. It is not just about one player. It is about how his presence elevates everyone around him. When you talk about defense as a living organism, Garrett would be the heartbeat, pumping intensity and urgency through every series. That vision alone is enough to keep content creators talking for hours, breaking down hypothetical alignments and matchups like they are already real. From a locker room perspective, the idea of Garrett joining the Eagles opens another fascinating layer of speculation. Philadelphia is known for its passionate environment, one that demands accountability and rewards effort. Garrett's reputation as a worker, as someone who takes preparation seriously, would fit seamlessly into that culture. He would not be asked to change who he is, only to amplify it. Teammates would gravitate toward his leadership, not necessarily through speeches, but through example. That kind of influence is priceless, especially for a defense that wants to maintain an edge throughout a long season. This rumor gains credibility because it aligns personalities as much as it aligns talent. When people say a move feels right, this is usually what they mean. It feels like a natural evolution rather than a forced experiment. Even skeptics have to admit that the mental picture makes sense, and in the world of sports rumors, that is often the first step towards something real. There is also the fan element, which cannot be underestimated in a market like Philadelphia. Eagles fans crave authenticity and effort above all else, and Myles Garrett embodies both. He plays with visible intensity, with a physical style that resonates deeply in a city built on toughness. The thought of him feeding off the energy of the crowd, turning third downs into chaos, is enough to send chills down the spine of any fan who loves defensive football. This is why the rumor spreads so quickly, because it taps into an emotional truth. Fans are not just evaluating statistics, they are imagining moments, the kind that live forever in highlight reels and memories. A strip sack in a critical moment, a roar from the crowd, a defense swarming with confidence. These images fuel speculation far more effectively than any official report ever could. Financial and strategic angles also add weight to this conversation, even if details remain fuzzy. The Eagles have a reputation for creativity, for finding ways to make big moves work without sacrificing the future. That reputation feeds belief. When people say, if any team could pull this off, it would be them, they're not speaking randomly. They are referencing a history of bold decisions and calculated risks. Myles Garrett represents a premium asset, but premium assets are exactly what ambitious teams chase when they believe they are close to something special. This is not about reckless spending, it is about targeted aggression. The rumor thrives because it fits a pattern that fans recognize and trust. They have seen this story before, where doubt slowly gives way to acceptance, and acceptance eventually turns into celebration. On the other side of the equation, imagining Garrett embracing a new challenge adds another compelling dimension. Elite competitors are often driven by the desire to test themselves in new environments, to prove that their greatness travels with them. Joining the Eagles would be a statement that he is not defined by one system or one chapter of his career. It would be an opportunity to write something new, something bold, in a city that would embrace him fully if he delivers. This is the kind of narrative that leagues are built on, and it is why speculation feels almost cinematic. Fans are not just following a rumor. They are following a potential story arc, complete with tension, risk, and reward. As this rumor continues to circulate, it becomes less about whether it happens and more about what it represents. It represents ambition, imagination, and the constant hunger for improvement that defines the best organizations. Whether Myles Garrett ever actually puts on an Eagles uniform remains to be seen, but the fact that the idea feels plausible says everything. It says the Eagles are viewed as a destination, and Garrett is viewed as a transformative force. Until clarity arrives, this speculation will keep living, evolving with every new angle and every passionate debate. And that is the beauty of it, because sometimes the conversation itself is almost as exciting as the move everyone is waiting for. Beyond the field, the ripple effects of a potential Garrett to Eagles move are endless, spilling into media narratives, fantasy leagues, and even how opponents plan weeks in advance. Analysts would dissect every snap, every pressure, and every matchup as if the trade had already happened, imagining how Garrett's presence forces offensive lines into impossible decisions. The rumor feeds that frenzy, giving fans and pundits alike a common thread to debate, and it amplifies the mythos around both the player and the team. It's the kind of speculation that doesn't need confirmation to feel real, because the scenarios it creates are so vivid, they almost exist in a parallel reality. In Philadelphia, where every defensive surge is cheered like a touchdown, Garrett would instantly become a symbol of ambition and grit, the living embodiment of the city's combative identity. That mental image alone keeps the rumor alive, giving every fan a reason to believe that something monumental is on the horizon. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Another compelling angle is how this potential acquisition could shift the league's balance of power. Defenses like the Eagles have always been respected, but adding a player of Garrett's caliber would make them feared. Opposing teams would adjust their game plans, quarterbacks would hesitate just a split second longer, and coaches might spend sleepless nights trying to account for him. The speculation itself highlights a broader trend in the league. Superstars are not just measured by stats. They're measured by influence, by how much chaos they can inject into a game. Garrett is precisely that kind of player. Even without official confirmation, imagining the ripple effect of him lining up across from every top offensive line in the league is enough to fuel endless discussion. This is why fans cling to rumors like this. They're not just about one individual, but about the shifting ecosystem of the entire sport. The locker room dynamics cannot be ignored either. A player of Garrett's stature could change team culture overnight, raising the bar for preparation, intensity, and accountability. Younger players would have a model to emulate, and veterans would be challenged to match his work ethic and drive. The rumor thrives because it paints a picture of transformation beyond the numbers, suggesting a philosophical shift that aligns perfectly with Philadelphia's reputation for toughness and resilience. Even skeptics admit that if anyone could seamlessly integrate into that environment, Garrett is among the few candidates who could. That is the kind of speculation that excites fans. Not just imagining the sacks or the forced fumbles, but envisioning a locker room that evolves into a powerhouse, hungry for domination. The narrative almost writes itself, a story of synergy and shared ambition that could change the identity of a team in a single offseason. Finally, the emotional undercurrent of this rumor is what makes it irresistible. Fans are not merely following potential transactions. They're investing in dreams of glory, in moments of awe where defensive play becomes a defining image of a season. Garrett represents more than skill. He embodies intensity, presence, and the kind of force that can turn games and seasons on their head. Rumors like this thrive because they tap into that collective desire, offering a tantalizing what-if that fuels imagination and conversation. Even if the move never materializes, the speculation itself becomes part of the lore, a thread in the narrative of a franchise and its passionate supporters. In a city where every defensive stop is celebrated like a championship, the idea of Myles Garrett in Eagles colors is enough to send pulses racing. And that is precisely why this rumor refuses to die, continuing to dominate discussions and feed the dreams of fans hungry for excellence. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.